Just while we wait, I will explain a little bit about Wordier and the 11+ journey, because I know some of you have only just joined 11+ journey because you're a Wordier customer. So the 11+ journey, we have a Facebook group and a website and a YouTube channel. It's all created by Sabah Hadi, who has also just released a new book. She's released a journal to emphasize mental health and provide an outlet for children, a creative outlet for children preparing for their 11+, so that we can make sure they are happy, healthy, as well prepared for the exams. And then Wordier, so we provide all things vocabulary related. So we have weekly classes like this, Wordier Live, and those classes are an hour plus some time for a contest that we usually do at the end. We cover about 20 to 25 words per class there, and each module is 6 sessions. You can also get Wordier on demand, so you can access recordings and worksheets and activities for you to do at your leisure. And then on the screen here, you can see our card game, which is called Fish, and that is a synonym game. Got a workbook, an illustrated workbook, so it has images throughout to help memory, and our illustrated flashcards, which are my personal favorites. So 75 flashcards there with images on the front and then definitions on the back. So what we are doing today, we're going to first go over roots and affixes. I think they're all Latin roots, one or two might be Greek. So the roots and affixes, we're doing those because they will help you to decode the words and figure out the meanings of some of the words we're doing in this session. And it will help you in future when you encounter a new word, if you know some roots and affixes, and then you can figure out the meaning. So that's what a lot of my pupils do that have been doing the Wordier live sessions for some time. When they see a new word now, they break it down into bits and then they can figure out the meaning, which is really helpful when you're doing comprehension. And then we'll have a close test at the end. Okay, I think I shall start, make a start on the session. Hello, I think just reading the messages here. Oh, I'm still fuzzy, am I? That's annoying. I'm afraid I don't know how to fix that. Hopefully that will clear up. Okay, let's get started. Thank you for waiting. And hopefully this screen will be less fuzzy in a second as well. So our theme today is volcanic activity. Now you may have heard, maybe let me know if you have heard, that last month there was a volcanic eruption on the island of La Palma, which I believe is in the Canary Islands. And so that started on the 19th of September, 2021. And we are over a month later and the volcano is still erupting. So there've been lots of news stories on this, pictures and everything. And so there's been some challenging vocabulary featured in those news stories. So I thought we would go over some of those today. Now, thankfully, no one has died in the process of these volcanic eruptions, but over 2,000 buildings have been razed, is the word. So razed is not one of the words that we're talking about in depth today, but it's one that some of you may know from your Wordier materials. Can anyone tell me what raised means? Raised as in with a Z rather than ISE. Does anyone know what raised means? So 2,000 buildings have been razed because of this volcanic eruption. What could it mean? I'm going to move on because of this delay with the comments, but I am still watching in case anyone wants to tell me. I'll tell you in a second. So raised means that, oopsie, that's the wrong screen. Uh-oh. Hang on, sorry guys. My iPad is not playing ball. There we go. This is the screen I wanted. There we go. Phew. So raised means no, so do I mean raised, not raised? Yes. So with this spelling of raised is what I mean. And yet good, it means destroyed. So it means destroyed, like right down to the ground. So there's like nothing left. So the buildings have been razed because of all the lava spreading across the island. Okay, so this is our next screen. I wanted, so raised doesn't have an I, this version of raised, the ZE. Okay. So roots and affixes. Now, Our first ones are X or E. Usually in class we talk about the X, but sometimes it's written as an E prefix. Can anyone give me some examples, please, of words that have X or E at the beginning as a prefix? So can you think of any X or E words? And if so, can that maybe help you to figure out what that prefix means? Oh, one of the twins there, Tamara, you said annihilated for raised. Yeah, pretty much so. Just destroyed down to the ground. Okay. Expel, good. So expel, you push someone out, you get rid of something, you say they're not allowed back in. Exchange, yes. I'm trying to think how the prefix would relate to exchange, but it is an X word. Exterior good, don't forget the second E in exterior. Exterior means the outside of something. So interior is the antonym, so inside. So the exterior of the house you may talk about, or car exterior. Extract good, you take something out. So if you have an extract from a book, you have taken it out of the book, essentially. You've taken a short piece out. And exit, good, when you go out. So I'm hoping you have guessed, I won't wait because of the delay, but X and E mean out. And someone mentioned erupt as well, yes. So erupt, when the volcano erupts, something comes out of it. Okay, dawn. You may only be able to think of 2 examples, or maybe even just one, I'm not sure. So can you tell me if you can think of examples for dawn? And actually, why don't you think of some examples for vacuous as well? Because we'll do that next. Example is another one for X, yeah. And exit when you go out, good. Okay, so dawn or vacuous words, please. Can anybody think of some? I'm going to put, while I wait, vacuum comes from vacuous, the vacuum in your house. Dormant, good. Dormant, by the way, was actually featured in this year's Bexley exam as part of one of the vocabulary questions. Dormitory, good. Well done, Noah. I was hoping someone would mention that. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, a dormitory is the place, it's another name for a bedroom. They have them in places like boarding schools, so it's like a really big bedroom, it's where people sleep. And dormant means something is not active. So if a volcano is dormant, it's not active, and dormant goes with to sleep. So if you do have the worksheets for this printed out, can you match those roots up with their meanings? Or if you don't, then just write these down next to each other. Okay, vacuous words, anyone? Oh, someone said evacuate, perfect. Evacuate, no, that's not what I meant to write. Evacuate when you leave somewhere, we'll talk about that more later. Any others? I had vacuous spelled like this. If you say someone is vacuous, it's an insult. So it means that they are kind of mindless, their head seems empty, they're not very smart, and they don't have anything interesting to say. Sometimes people will say that if they're being rude about reality TV stars or something that they think are just there for their looks and they don't say anything interesting, they might say they are vacuous, or that the show is vacuous. And vacuous, can anyone guess what it goes with? I won't tell you just yet. So a vacuum, by the way, the reason it relates to this is because a vacuum has to have a big space inside it, an empty space to suck things into. Vacuum, some of you are spelling it U-M-E. A vacuum cleaner is spelled U-U-M. Okay, and vacant is another one. You might see that on a toilet door. When the toilet is empty, it is vacant. So vacuous goes with empty. Rupt, as in erupt. Disrupt. Anyone else want to provide some? For rupt or magnus? What do you think? Rupture, good one. I haven't thought about that one. When something ruptures, it bursts. If your appendix ruptures, and an appendix is an organ in the body, if that ruptures, then it bursts. And then you have to have surgery. Interrupt, good. So if you interrupt, you kind of break into someone's conversation. You break into what they were saying. Erupt, yep. And everything comes out. Rupture, we've had corrupt. Ooh, nice one. Corrupt is when, so if someone is corrupt, they're bad, they have no morals, they do the wrong thing. Sometimes you talk about corrupt politicians or something like that. So they're not doing the right thing for their constituents, the people that they're supposed to look after, because they're corrupt. So maybe they take money from people or something. Okay, and so rupt goes with burst or break. I also had abrupt there as a rupt word. That means suddenly. Okay, and magnus. Now, can you think of any words that start with magn? Magni, something perhaps. We never really use the whole magnus, although that is a name. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's mean, corrupt, kind of similar. So depends on the situation. Okay, so magn words. I will, oh, magnesium. That is magnet, but I don't think it comes from this. I would have to check though. Magnet, yeah, although that wasn't written. I am not sure of the link between magnet and the meaning of this root, but it doesn't mean there isn't one. Just can't think of it at the moment. Magnificent, a few of you have said, which is great. So if something's magnificent, it's amazing, it's wonderful. Magnify. So when you magnify something, you want to make it bigger. And magnanimous, that's the word I was looking for. Oh, Adnuka, you nearly had magnanimous there, just missed out a couple of letters, but I think that's what you meant. Okay, so magnanimous, if someone is magnanimous, they are very kind. It actually technically means a great soul. So they are generous, they're kind, they're kind of the bigger person in a situation. They are more generous than they really needed to be. Okay, so Magnus goes with great. Right, let's get into some definitions. Magician. It doesn't have the N after mag, so I'm not sure. Maybe look it up online. Oh, I meant to cover these up. So let me cover those, and can you get ready to write some definitions for me, please? Okay, so we're going into activity 2 on your sheets, erupt. Now, I know a lot of you, if not all of you, will know what this means, but I thought we'd better do it anyway. So erupt, it has collocations written here. Now, a collocation, those of you that come to me regularly will know, it means a words that are often used together, more often than most words are used together. So it's like a pairing, a common word pairing or grouping that we use. So a volcano can erupt, but you can also have an eruption of applause. An argument can erupt, chaos can erupt, fight and roar. So you could use erupt after all of those things. And so that might be something that you want to do if you're doing creative writing or something. You might say applause erupted, an argument erupted. So, and then we've got example sentence. So we know the volcano erupted, that you could say the concert ended and a round of applause erupted from the crowd. Okay, so our definitions, we've got 1, when a volcano when a volcano becomes active, and 2, to break out suddenly. So that second definition relates to our collocations. Can you write those definitions down for me, please? Yeah, erupt, so to burst out. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. So like a fight broke out, it burst. Okay. All right. Oh, I see we have Eunice with us. Eunice, I was talking at the beginning about decoding words using the affixes, and you did a really good job of that the other day, I meant to say. So you were able to decode indecisive because you know about the prefixes and roots, which is great. Okay, evacuate, hopefully you've got that down. If you haven't, if I'm going too quickly, then just send me a message to say wait, and I will pause. Okay, so evacuate, we know that the E prefix means out, and then vacuum meant what? Can you tell me in chat what vacuum meant? Okay, so vacuum meant empty. So evacuate, it's when people need to go out and leave a space empty. So when this volcano happened, 5,000 people were evacuated from their homes in La Palma. So the people were evacuated. They had to leave, they had to go out and leave the area empty because it wasn't safe to be there anymore. So our definition for evacuate is to leave a dangerous place to go somewhere safer. If there's a fire alarm at school, you'll have practiced evacuating the school because the fire alarm is going. So it's with the understanding that it is dangerous to be in the school because there might be a fire, and so you need to evacuate. So write that down, please. Good, someone said leave there for evacuate, good. So leave a dangerous place. If you just left your house, you wouldn't say I'm evacuating. Yes, good. In World War I, World War II, people had to be evacuated from London, exactly. Okay, mass has a couple of different meanings. So I have pictures. So this is a picture, hopefully that will clear up for you. This picture is actually from La Palma, and you can see there is a mass of rock and some lava in there as well. So this is one type of mass. You can also have a mass of people. So this is the mass of people. So what do you think mass could mean? Mass of people, and this is a mass of rock and lava. Big yes. In church, people go to mass. Yes, that's because they are gathering together, I think. That's why they use that particular word. So you don't do that on your own at home. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, so when we talk about a mass of people, we mean a really large amount. When we talk about a mass of something, it means, well, I think of it as kind of like a fancy word for a really big blob of something. So it's when we have a large shapeless amount of something. So it's not like in a neat little square or something like that. It's just a large shapeless amount. So it's like a big blob. So let's get to our definition here. So a large amount of something with no definite shape, or a large number of people. I don't know why I have capital for one and not for the other. We don't actually need capitals at the beginnings of these because they're not sentences, they're phrases really. That's why we don't need a capital. Let's get that written down. Mass, a large amount of something with no definite shape, or a large number of people. A bundle of something, yeah, could be that as well. Just to remind you guys, there is a delay between me saying something and you hearing me. There is a significant delay, which means that there is a delay with the comments too. So if I don't respond to your comments straight away, I will do. It's just that you haven't seen me do it yet. It's confusing. Okay, let's go on to mandatory. Mandatory. So if you know the meaning of that word, you can send it over to me. And the example sentence is, four villagers were given mandatory evacuation orders. Mandatory for them to evacuate. What do you think that means? The order there is a bit of a clue as well. So they were given a mandatory evacuation order. So maybe the Prime Minister said, gave the order. Yes, mass does also mean weight, yeah. Sometimes I don't cover every single definition of the words because we'd be here all day, but yes, it can mean the weight of something. Good. Compulsory, well done. That's a few of you are saying compulsory. Well done. I wasn't sure that you would know that word. Okay. And an obligation, yes. So if something is mandatory, it is your obligation to do it. Obligation and mandatory, then they couldn't be used as synonyms. I don't think, no, because they're different types of word. So you couldn't use them in the same place in a sentence, but the meanings are related. And you could also say attendance for something is mandatory. So at your school, perhaps attendance at assembly is mandatory. So compulsory, mandatory, they mean, yes, you have strict orders, someone's just said, you have strict orders to do something, you must do something, you don't have a choice, that's the rule. So when you don't have a choice, describing something that you have to do, compulsory. Can you write that down, please? Strict rule, yeah. We wouldn't say forcible, but enforceable might relate to a mandatory rule. You have no choice, exactly. So it would have been illegal for people to stay in their homes because it was a mandatory evacuation order, not just a suggestion. Okay, plume. Now I know a couple of you have the illustrated vocabulary cards, and this is one of the words in that. So I'm hoping you will know this one. So it says, plumes of smoke rose from the volcano. Plumes of smoke rose from the volcano. And this is an image of a plume. Can anyone remember what that is? Plume of smoke. You could also have a plume on a hat. What happens if you don't do something mandatory? It depends on the situation, because if you don't do something mandatory at school, then you might be punished, but it would be in a different way than for like a mandatory evacuation order where the country ordered it. Mandate, by the way, I meant to say, a mandate is an order. So something that you have to do. A feather, good. A feather shape. So it could be, a plume can be just a feather from a bird, or it can be a long cloud of smoke that looks like a feather. So this is kind of feather shaped, as in it comes out from a thin point and then spreads outwards. So that is a plume. A large cloud of smoke that resembles a feather, or just means a feather. It's smoke that billows, yes, although billowing usually is larger, so more like a cloud, whereas a plume is a little narrower. So not a large amount of something, it's a large cloud of smoke that looks like a feather. Can't really use it for anything else apart from smoke and actual feathers. Yep, a lot of smoke that's feather shaped. Good, make sure you've got that definition down. I'm hoping I've left it on the board long enough so we can move on. Okay, I'm going to move on. Let me know if I've moved on too quickly. Because of the delay, it's hard to tell. Okay, dormant is our next one. So the volcano had been lying dormant for almost half a century. So remember dorm, like it was used in dormitory where people sleep. Dormant is relating to sleep as well. So the volcano had been lying dormant. It's like the volcano was sleeping. So dormant means inactive, as if sleeping. But was sleeping, but still alive. Yeah, Good. So you're sending me the meanings there. Not active, still, yeah, asleep. Yeah. So lying dormant, sleeping. Okay. Magnitude. So remember, magnus meant great. So we're talking about the magnitude of something. For example, I've got 3 example sentences here. So the police underestimated the magnitude of the robbery and so only sent 1 police officer to the scene. So they underestimated the magnitude. Underestimate is when you don't think something is as big or important as it really is. Okay, the second example sentence, feel free to send over the definitions of magnitude if you think you figured it out. Not a dormant mouse, a dormouse is what you're thinking of, D-O-R mouse. But I think they do sleep quite a bit, to be fair. Okay, so there was a 3.8 magnitude earthquake before the eruption. 3.8 magnitude earthquake, which is true, by the way. There was an earthquake before the eruption. And you could also say, I have never had to solve a problem of this magnitude before. Of importance, yes, it could be. Oh, fatigued wouldn't go with dormant because fatigued, you're tired, but you're probably not sleeping. You're just tired. Whereas dormant is like, it's as though you're actually sleeping. So as though the volcano is sleeping, or as though an issue is sleeping. Significance, so not significant, I would say for magnitude, but significance. So the significance of something, the magnitude of something. You could talk about, anyone else have a guess for magnitude? So with the police underestimating the magnitude of the robbery, it's not so much the importance, but think about the meaning of magnus. It was great. It's to do with the greatness, the size of something. So they didn't realize it was so big before they got there in that case. So it's big, important, it's to do with how big something is or how important it is, the magnitude. So first definition, the size of something, and the second is of great size or importance. So that second definition would go with the third example sentence. A problem of this magnitude, a problem of this great size or importance. Not unimportant. If you have underestimated the magnitude of something, you think it's unimportant, but it doesn't necessarily mean it is. Yes, I'd say so. If you underestimate the magnitude, you think it's small, but it's actually not. The extent of something, yes, good. That would be a good synonym. Colossal amount. Yeah, so if something is of great magnitude, it is colossal in some way. Okay, let's go on to flee. So the residents of La Palma had to flee their homes in search of safety. They fled their homes. Just giving you the answer for a question. They had to flee their homes. They had to turn away from, yes, they had to, I'm just actually going to reveal this one. Run away from, sorry, I thought you meant turn, but either would work. So run away. Yes, so to run away from a place of danger. Some of you a while ago, we talked about havens and that sort of thing. So if you flee somewhere, you might be looking for a safe haven. Fly, not necessarily fly, I'd say, because you can flee by running. To leave quickly, yes. To escape, yeah. So to run away from a place of danger. And then it says, what is the past tense of to flee? Can anyone tell me that? Synonym of evacuate, yeah. Past tense of flee is Just going to write it on here because of the delay. Fled. Looking at the last word, no, it doesn't relate to pessimistic actually. Comes down a second. Fled, good. Okay, and then we have seismic. So our clue here is that seismic comes from the Greek for earthquake. You could say seismologists have predicted that there will be some seismic activity in the next few weeks. That there will be seismic activity. Or you could say, this is another meaning of it. Oh, I forgot to write the other meaning down actually. The company has been through seismic changes in the last few years. Oh, just careful with escape. Someone said for flee. This is a common error, but it's spelt escape, not X. It's pronounced escape. Okay, so the past tense of flee was fled. They fled the area. And then seismic means what? So it comes from the Greek for earthquake. So seismologists think there will be seismic activity. So that meaning of seismic is just relating to earthquake. So a seismologist is someone that studies earthquake. So when you see this bit, this root, think earthquakes. And then this, you could say the company has been through seismic changes in the last few years. Someone has just said type of scientist that studies earthquakes. Yeah, because of the delay, I didn't see that before. Good. And someone said dramatic as well for the second definition. Perfect. So our first definition, I'm going to write the other one in for you. First definition is relating to earthquakes. And then the second definition, I am actually going to look in the dictionary. It does mean very large. I like to make sure that my definitions are just right. It says of enormous proportions or effect. So of enormous effect, let's say. Just keep it simple because we don't want you to be confused by the definition when you look back at it later. Of enormous effect. Huge, yes, so a seismic change, very large. So seismic change, think about like when earthquakes, like the earth moves, so it's like everything has moved and changed when it's a seismic change. So if you wanted to say that like an object was very large, you wouldn't use seismic. It's more for when things change and move. Okay, we're going on to the Cloze test, and why don't you, let's check in. So if you have learnt a new word today, could you send a thumbs up or a heart for me, just so I know? Hopefully you've learnt some new words. I'm sure some of you knew some words already. I have not heard the word Volcanic before. I could be wrong. Good, I'm seeing some likes and hearts, good. So it means you've learned something, which is great. Okay, let's do the Cloze test. And we haven't done any example sentences, which, okay, let's do some example sentences. Can you send me example sentences with some of the words that we have gone through today, please? So with any of the words. Pick the one you like, but preferably one that you didn't know before. Can you send those example sentences in chat for me, please? I don't want to miss that. It is important. Oops, I think I forgot to show my screen when I wrote the definition of enormous effect there for seismic. I shall wait for your example sentences and look forward to reading those out. I've just checked the dictionary. Bobanius is not in the dictionary. Good. So example sentences. The volcano was dormant. Lovely. The famous volcano in St. Lucia is dormant. Okay, I hear you tell me that is true, so I'll take your word for it. How many dormant volcanoes? Some of them can be dormant for centuries before they erupt. Okay, so example sentences. My mum erupted out of the room. Yeah, we could use that. I'd say maybe actually erupted from the room rather than out, because erupt has the prefix E, so it kind of means like out anyway. So erupted from the room. The robbers fled the scene, good. People fled when Adolf Hitler with a big bulbous nose took over Poland, good. Bulbous is a word that we've covered previously, so for those of you that weren't sure, so nice one. It means looking like a bulb, like big and fat. There was a mass of floods. Floods has double O in it, but yes. Mass. A plume of smoke. Yes, you can have a plume of smoke. The city was given mandatory orders. Yes, there's a lot of talk at the moment about whether to make vaccines mandatory. And some countries have issued a vaccine mandate. The dormant volcano is right beside the village. Good. In World War II, parents sent their children to flee the city. I played a game called Flee the Facility. Okay. Remember, seismic, we can't use to describe the size of something. We can only use it for like a change when something has a large effect on something. Perhaps you could say there was a seismic change in her personality. The bird had a wonderful plume of feathers. Yeah, I think we could say that. It was mandatory to evacuate for your safety, good. A plume of smoke suffocated the people and made them die. Morbid, but accurate, good. We fled the city. The cotton candy was like a plume. Yeah, you could say that. I've not thought of that before, but yeah, it's kind of plume-like, isn't it? Okay, good. If you have given me an example sentence, or if you have not got an example sentence to give, can you try the cloze test? I think we might go through this together. Usually in class, I give you a little more time, but looking at the time here and how long I told you the lesson would be, then I think we better be quick. So I haven't played that computer game in a year, so my account is now what? I'll actually give you clues for these. Send me the answers with the numbers written, so like 1, and then put your answer, and then I'll go back and fill them in. I got some example sentences, by the way. In a concert, I spotted a mass of people. Yes, could say a mass of people entered the concert hall or something as well. The destruction caused by the eruption created a seismic change in the amount of poverty. Very nice. Good. I evacuated the city when there was a fire. Good. Okay, let's do this cloze test as I promised. So I haven't played that computer game in a year, so my account is now something. Think about the account kind of sleeping. It's not active. Okay. This is something to wear a uniform at my school. This is something that you have to do. You don't have a choice. It would be against the rules not to. I knew that the school had been flooded, but I didn't realize the something of the problem until I saw it in person. So this is the greatness of the problem, the size of it. Give a second there just to catch up. So this is to do with the size of something. This is when you have no choice. Okay. The animals tried to something the area once the fireworks began. They wanted to run because they didn't feel safe. A huge argument, something during dinner, it burst, it broke out. The argument broke out. Good. A something of rock and lava made its way down the hillside. This is a big lump that is shapeless, like a large blob. Good, seeing lots of right answers here. Keep them coming. Seismograph is a device designed to measure what activity? So the activity of earthquakes. And the charity shop is selling a large hat with an ostrich something on the side, a feather. Just give you a minute to send the last couple of answers, and then we'll go back and fill in the answers. And just quickly, if you have enjoyed today's session and you would like to do more of these kinds of sessions, then I will be doing the Wordier live courses from the first week of November on a Friday, and those can be booked on our website. It's wordier.online, or you can get the Wordier on demand course if you want to do something over the half term. Okay, let's put in some answers. So I haven't played that computer game in a year now, so my account is now dormant. It's like it's sleeping, but you could reactivate it. It is something to wear a uniform at my school, mandatory. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. I knew that the school had been flooded, but I didn't realize the something of the problem until I saw it in person. The magnitude. The animals tried to something the area once the fireworks began. They tried to run away. They tried to flee. A huge argument, something during dinner, broke out. Erupted. Sorry, it's distracted seeing your answers coming through there. Number 6, not a magnus. Magnus, it's only a name, but actually no, can mean a very large wine bottle, but generally we use magn as a part of another word. Okay, so you use it as a root rather than a word in its own. Okay, so a mass of rock and lava made its way down the hillside. A mass of rock and lava made its way down the hillside. A seismograph is a device designed to measure seismic activity. And the charity shop is selling a large hat with an ostrich plume on the side. An ostrich plume. Okay, can you give me a like or a heart or a love if you have learned something today, if you've enjoyed today's session? Well done to all of you for attending. It's been nice to see some familiar names and some unfamiliar names. Okay, so hopefully I will see you after half term at Wordier Live. And as a treat for coming, I will be posting something later today in the comments for this video, a little freebie. So check back later for some Quizlet activities I shall send for you. Okay, any other questions or example sentences before we finish up? If not, you can just say bye. I hope you've enjoyed yourself today, kids. You're welcome. All right, I shall log off. And if you're watching this later, by the way, you can still put your example sentences in the comments and I shall reply for you. Okay. All right, lovely to see you all. Bye.